I've never been more glad to be wrong. Think of it this way: if the starting 11 that Madrid put out, if I would have said, "Tell me which one of these players you'd want in Spurs squad in August," how many would you have picked? You'd pick Ronaldo, you'd pick Modric, you'd probably pick Cruz, you'd pick Marcelo, you'd pick Isco, Bale didn't play. I mean, that's just 5 quickly.
And even Marco Asensio off the bench. I mean, we've been touting him up as Spurs supporters for a possible transfer target for months.
I don't know what the gambling line was, but my sense is most pundits had Spurs to lose that game Wednesday, and so I think it's kind of funny that our rivals and the press who just love the other participants in the top 5 in the Premier League want to talk about.
Let's cast our minds back, lads. Did anyone predict the win with Harry back in the team?
Draws the most, yes.
I think we all picked draws.
I predicted a loss.
Yeah. Timmy picked the loss, Simon and I picked draws, and it was like we would have been happy getting what we got at the Bernabeu.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even comparing your best starting 11s against each other. It's you put out the best squad you have available at the time, and then from Tottenham's standpoint, you get your best center back injured 23 minutes into the match.
Oh right, yeah.
And Toby, yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I thought Jan really stepped up after that. I mean, he's been really good this season, but he really
been the best player.
stepped up.
Has he been our best player this year?
Defensively, yeah.
Just period though.
Well, you could say. I mean, he hasn't got a goal, and I know he's trying, and I think you could see he was really pissed off today.
What game he was so
when
pissed.
Son didn't pass and completely fucked it up. But he has been like the player he was in that first season when he was chipping in with the goals. And I think he's actually better than Toby this season so far. Toby was outstanding last season and the season before.
I think Jan's been every good as this year as Toby was last year.
It's funny you guys say that. When Toby pulled up lame and it was instant and everybody knew it and the crowd kind of gasped. We had gone through this whole Kane got injured, but we persisted and we moved on and we did pretty well with him out of the lineup last year. When Toby went out, that's when we went through that run of draws and a couple of losses sprinkled in, and it didn't bode well. And that was the first thing I thought of. I feel supremely confident with Vertonghen, Dyer, and Sanchez, especially after today's display. They were impenetrable.
Well, and we talked last week about why was Sanchez left out and Dyer was in the back 3. And arguably was culpable for the goal that United scored. Sanchez back in the team. We beat Madrid back in the team today. And the kid's good. The kid is really good. And, wow, that has to be signing of the season right there.
Oh, we talked about Winks, right? And his progression and how well he's done. Sanchez, again, we have to remind yourself, as you said, he's only a kid. He's 21.
21, yeah.
Dyer's hey, let me remind you, Dyer's 23 years old.
He's
young too.
With Sanchez, it's not like we got a Dele Alli steal for $5 million. I mean, we had to pay for quality on that one, but
it wasn't stupid money.
No,
not the money City splash around for unheard of. And let's face it, I mean, for most Spurs fans, Sanchez was pretty much an unheard of unless you followed the Eredivisie.
I mean, it was still 40 something million, right?
38.
It was 25 with bonuses. It can all add up to 40.
Hey,
let's not. Well, hang on. Let's say something. Let's not lose the fact that I don't think it can be understated. I mean, we lose arguably our best defender, our absolute rock, against one of the best teams in the world, and we don't skip a beat. I mean, we don't skip a beat. We scored two more goals after 3. I think it was 0-0 when he went out.
I think it was 0-0. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it was. Sammy, it was 0-0 when Sissoko came on, and all I'm saying is the game changed.
Hey, what was my tweet about him today?
Hey, he was one whiff away from a Tommy Carroll fire assist. If Harry Kane would have put that one in.
That whiff makes me love him even more. That whiff was. It was
he's perfectly imperfect, right, Sam?
Can we talk about some of the images that did social media that night? And again, I think we need to temper this because if this was Arsenal fan TV, they'd be going, "Oh, look at Tottenham! They think they've won the the Champions League already. You know, we're not going to behave like West Ham fans. It's over. We got to focus on, you know, coming back from the international break. But I just want to look at a couple of images. The one where Eriksen was bombing towards the goal. Who was trying to track him down?
Oh, Modric.
On the third goal?
On Eriksen's goal, when he was steaming in, you had Modric flailing in the distance. Yeah. That's an endearing image.
Yeah.
And then the other one to me was you had Toni Kroos lying on the ground.
Good.
While Dembele is putting what's his name?
Ramos.
Yeah, he's putting him in the air. I mean, that was fantastic. It was like a trail of wreckage.
What was he doing there, though?
It was awesome.
Bit, like he went fucking. He went like. Well, I was gonna say he went crazy. Yeah. Absolutely.
Can I talk about Sergio Ramos for a second?
I hate you. No, you can't.
I can't. Okay, fine.
Sergio Jihad Ramos.
No, okay. So seriously, you know, throughout the course of this pod, the C word. I do not like it. I don't say it that often.
You don't like cunt?
I mean, I like it.
Ken, don't be.
It's a very vile word, and I reserve it for people who are truly deserving of it. But Sergio Ramos is a world-class cunt. I hate him, and he was so poor. Piece of work. Yeah. He was so poor throughout the entirety of this game. He was run ragged by Harry over the course of the match. You know, the very first goal. When that cross comes in from No, that's the second one. When that cross comes in from Trippier, you know, Ramos was the one who's the first defender to it who could cut it out. Nacho's trying to track back with Dele. Ramos doesn't even make the run. He switches off. An easy cross comes in, and Dele's.
Whoop! Did we lose?
Oh, yeah.
Timmy.
The third one.
Timmy's gone AWOL. He's got a new.
No, I just thought that was karma.
Hold on,
Tim's talking and he drops into
Finish your thought, buddy.
Did my mic drop again?
Yeah, you dropped.
Yeah.
At what point did I drop?
Sell your Yeti.
Gravitational pull against the microphone.
The easy cross that he allowed for the first.
Okay. So the first one.
Second.
Yeah, the first one he doesn't track back, and it's an easy cross. Dele's first to the ball. The second goal, obviously, the deflected shot off of him. And then the third goal, Dele just completely bosses him off of it, and that's what makes the run where he plays Kane in. It was Ramos on Dele. Dele easily turns him off of that counter. And he was so poor throughout the entire match. You know, take those fucking wings on the back of your neck and fly off. I cannot stand you.
Who was it? Was it Aurier? Aurier just made a fool out of him, I think. Was that the first cross?
Well, you talk about Aurier because he didn't play that match?
Who was our right? Oh, it was Trippier, that's right. So it was Trippier. It was Trippier that somebody schooled him early.
I just forgot. I don't
know. That's right. Somebody schooled him early in that.
No, so you're thinking about the Sissoko whiff, and it was Trips on a double team against Isco, and no, I guess it wasn't Ramos. It was Isco and Marcelo, and Trips was on a double team, and he nutmegs Marcelo.
He megged him. Yeah, that's right. He megged him. I mean, he made him look foolish. He did. Great.
I mean, that's one of the best defensive center backs in the world you're talking about. People tout him as one of the greatest, and he was just that epitomizes the performance of Real Madrid, the effort of that squad as a whole in this match. It was poor, and we just played them off the park.
Cheers, is that win bigger than Milan?
I think
a lot of Spurs, didn't we? At the pub today?
Yeah, I think a lot of Spurs fans would consider that. I mean, the irony that they were a day apart from 7 years ago.
Yeah.
The same result, reigning European champions. But of course, you have to put in perspective that in the away fixture, we lost 4-3. You know, we were 4-0 down at halftime. Gomes had been sent off. Bale, scored his hat trick that almost got us a historic draw out at the San Siro. But that game was the return game was more about Bale schooling Maicon and the whole taxi for Maicon thing that came out of it, even though he didn't score any goals. But it was such a great game. I remember watching it live and going, holy crap. after 2 weeks earlier, 3 weeks earlier, when we'd lost, and I was so proud of Spurs. I almost shed a tear. I think I was bawling like a baby when we'd lost 4-3, that we'd almost pulled it off. But the game at the Lane was just fantastic. And obviously it's the Lane, it's the glory nights. And, Wembley is our temporary home. But what a glory night that must have been for those that were there, and the atmosphere. Unfortunately, I didn't have volume as I watched it at work, but at least I was able to watch it. But the atmosphere apparently was just electric, and hadn't been at that level this season so far. So hopefully we can do it again as we come up with some of these big games.
So I'm just trying to rate.
I have a quick.
Have you been able to see the replay at all?
No.
With volume?
No.
Okay,
no.
so
I don't think
you hear about the. Okay, so I don't know if you saw this or if you heard about this. The Olays around the 70th minute.
I saw someone had recorded it, and so obviously I watched that on Twitter, and that was
really true. 29 passes in that exchange. Is that what I read?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
It was going on forever. I mean, could you have ever imagined when this draw came out back in August that our supporters at Wembley would be cheering the Olays against Real Madrid?
Right.
And so I guess I asked that. I asked that question because bigger win. I mean, they're both massive wins. Relatively speaking, right? I mean, at the time, Milan was probably no bigger win. Certainly, no bigger win in Donkey's years. This one, I think, I don't know. I think about the Olays. I think about Madrid being Madrid. I think about where we are in this project, the importance of advancing through. I don't know. I think that may be one of the biggest victories for our club ever. I mean, I know all the DVD shit and make your T-shirts and all that, but I mean, it was a big win.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge when every other club that is what you would consider a rival is slating you for celebrating it the way we have, and the way that we continue to do, whether it be Arsenal or West Ham. And Arsenal were the biggest ones. Every supporter I saw on social media and in the Twitterverse and whatnot. Oh, it was a weakened Real Madrid side. They didn't have Bale. They didn't have this or that. I'm sorry. If you look up and down that starting 11, anybody would give their left arm to have any of those players on their club. Karma's a ruthless bitch, man. 24 hours later, you're drawing against Red Star Belgrade. Fuck off. Completely fuck off. So, statement and a question. Actually, statement and a story. Go ahead. Tom.
Well, yeah. Here's my take on this, and I don't give Arsenal any credit whatsoever. I hate them as much as you can. But we have a long way to go to catch up for the last 20 years, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is a step in the right direction. The Arsenal fans who have some perspective are worried that Tottenham are re-emerging and are going to dominate football for the next 20 years while they sink into the shadows. That's, I think, the reality of it. And I'm happy. I am happy to be patient as we notch up these historic nights, if that's what you want to call them. If you want to temper that with some perspective, I'm okay with that too. But Tottenham, that giant has awoken.
Yeah, and quickly, I have a statement.
Yeah, that's well said, Chairs.
Yeah, it is. Statement and a story request. We talk about defining moments in this game against Real Madrid. For me, and Chairs, I mentioned it at the pub. I can't remember if it was Winks or if it was Dele, put an arm on Casemiro as he possessed the ball, and I mean a very butterfly-esque arm, like a hand grazed across his shoulder, and he fell backwards as if he got shot by a sniper.
Like tremor at Wembley.
Like Chuck Norris had him in a figure four leg lock or something. I don't know what was going on there. It just showed midway through the second half how desperate they were to get a free kick or anything that gave them any kind of offensive prowess. Not only that, but the fan base, the crowd at White Hart Lane, I think it intimidated Real Madrid. I honestly do, regardless of Camp Nou or anywhere else they've played in an away fixture. I think they were not expecting what they got at Wembley, and kudos to anybody and everybody who went to that match. It sounded like White Hart Lane with the volume turned up. It was amazing.
Speaking of the crowd, I don't know if you saw this on the recording, but this one Real Madrid fan, this girl probably like 12, 13 years old. It was like 1-0 down. They panned on her. She's perfectly fine.